On behalf of a lot of the men here, we've been told since we were very small to step up to the plate, to man up. We can't be wimps, we can't be girls, we have to behave like true men. And I think, as we have identified over the last few years, for a number of reasons, from celebrity illnesses to social media, we now know more about each other, and it's acceptable to be vulnerable.
Can reach out, but at least open people's mind to ask certain questions, and if at all, try and get rid of some of the stigma around some of the challenges that guys, both in terms of physically and mentally, do face. So,
you know, we need to get men doing the same things, you know, talking about their emotions and feelings, and not just sitting by the bar and saying, "You alright, mate? Yeah, fine. You? Yeah, good. Okay." And really actually sort of say something like, "Are you okay? Is everything all right? I heard that, you know, whatever," and actually sort of start talking about it.
This therapist actually said to me, "What about clinical depression?" and started rattling off all these things. It's like, well, yeah, this happens to me all the time. And it wasn't until that day that I realised that I was suffering from depression. And it's not the fact I needed a label, it actually made me understand what I was going through and that I was normal and I wasn't an outcast.
Why didn't you talk to people at the beginning? What was preventing you?
My masculinity. I thought I would be weak. I thought that people wouldn't want to hear my problems, and I just didn't want to bother people. But in reality, these family members and the people who are close to me, they're not going to look at me as a burden. They're going to want to help me. They actually embrace the fact that I took that step forward, and they helped me overcome what I needed to overcome.
And of all you lot that have put your hand up, how many have had a blood test to check your PSA levels? There we are, there's some. Yeah, but how many haven't? Much more interesting. How many haven't? There we are, sir. Okay, so now this guy said, "I want you to promise that in the next week you'll go to your doctor and ask him for a blood test to check your PSA levels, see if there's any risk of you having prostate cancer. Even if your doctor is not smart enough to say, get checked out, go. And tell him you're entitled to have it."
We are, sir.
If you have a family history of prostate cancer, you should do it from about 40. Or if you are Black Afro-Caribbean, those two are high risk situations where you have double the risk of getting prostate cancer.
And I think that we all tend to use coping strategies in some form or another. And some of us are shimmiers, what I call shimmiers. So you do a bit of sugar and you do a bit of alcohol, and you never really think it's a problem until you try to stop. And we've got an epidemic at the moment of something called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is what you get if you drink too much, but it's also what you get if you have too much sugar. And also what worries me is that if we start treating our kids too early with sugar and treats and snacks, it could then quite easily lead to them swapping later on as teenagers to other coping mechanisms like alcohol instead of sugar.